One of my favorite guitar players passed away this week, the mighty John Sykes of Whitesnake, Blue Murder, and Thin Lizzy fame. It's been pretty nice seeing the guitar community react to John's playing and John's music. It's always seemed to me like John was a little bit underrated in the pantheon of 80s guitar gods, but I don't think that's the case. So many people that I've seen this week have been sharing photos and videos of John's playing. Now, I've done a video before on my favorite Whitesnake riffs from the 1987 album. If you follow my channel, you know how much I'm influenced by John. So I thought it might be nice to look at 5 killer John Sykes riffs that aren't Whitesnake songs. So we're going to take a look at some Tygers of Tang, some Thin Lizzy, some Blue Murder, and some John Sykes solo riffs on here. I'd love to hear from you what your favorite Sykes song, riff, solo, or album is in the comments section below. Let's just dive straight into it and get to the good stuff. Let's get started with the Tygers of Tang song, Hellbound. This is a pretty classic new wave of British heavy metal in the key of A thing. It reminds me of Stand Up and Shout by Dio or 2 Minutes to Midnight by Iron Maiden. Fun little fact, John Sykes was neck and neck with Vivian Campbell to get the Dio gig. It obviously went to Viv, and then Viv ended up touring with Whitesnake after John had left Whitesnake. So you can see the similarities between their styles and why they would have suited either gig. I'll play you the riff nice and slow, and then I'll speed it up, then we'll just break down what's happening. Now you could play this riff with all downstrokes if you wanted to. Listening to the recording, it does sound like it's alternate picked, especially with those alternating chords either being played with downstrokes or upstrokes. It gives it that new wave of British heavy metal feel if you play it with alternate picking, in my opinion. These are all just inverted power chords. So fret 5 on the D and the G string, that's an inverted C power chord. Fret 7 on the D and G, that's an inverted D power chord. And then fret 4 on the D and G, that is an inverted B power chord. Then we're playing a G major triad with the 3rd in the bass. So it's fret 9 on the D, 7 on the G, and 8 on the B. We're taking that down to fret 7 across the D, G, and B. That's a D triad. It's going to remind you of Van Halen or Keith Richards or every other riff from the 70s when you do that. We're just alternating the open A string in there. So again. Let's take a look at a cut from the Thin Lizzy Thunder and Lightning album. I love this entire album. In particular, I like the ballad The Sun Goes Down and the awesome Scott Gorham solo on it. I really like the songs This Is the One and The Holy War, but I feel like no discussion about non-Whitesnake John Sykes would be complete without looking at the riff from Cold Sweat. It's fairly straight ahead hard rock in F sharp, you know, the most metal of all keys. You're going from an E power chord to an F sharp power chord, an A power chord to a B power chord. You kind of turn that around at the end and add a pretty gnarly sounding pinched harmonic. I'm fairly certain on the record that's overdubbed with another pinched harmonic and a whole bunch of delay and reverb, so you get this. It's one of the most iconic pinched harmonics of all time, but another thing you can do is you can use that pinched harmonic technique where you're scraping the flesh of your thumb against the strings to inject a little bit of Sykes to any power chord that you play. So you kind of do that with the chords. Without it, really love that sound, and this is something that I use in a lot of my own playing. It's one of the more subtle Sykes things that I think you can add to your playing, but it really can enhance dirty power chords, especially if you use this in a drop tuning and you get those extra overtones from the pinched harmonics. We have to talk about the self-titled Blue Murder album. It's one of my favorite hard rock albums of all time. The production, the music videos, you know, John ripping his shirt open in the Jelly Roll music video is so iconic and so of the era, and not only is he playing like an absolute madman. He's singing incredibly well on there too. So if you haven't listened to that album and you like Whitesnake 1987, you are doing yourself a disservice. Stop this video. Go and listen to it right now. Everything on there is amazing, but some highlights, of course, are Valley of the Kings, Ptolemy, and in my opinion, the song Billy. This is such a great condensation of everything that makes John's rhythm style so amazing. So let's just try and play it, and then I will break down the little elements. This is right up there with Nuno Betancourt's work on the first couple of Extreme albums for just hard rock, funk, power groove guitar. Keep in mind, John was playing this and singing it live, so God tier kind of stuff. What I'm hearing is essentially a 7#9 chord, but you're not really using your first finger in here. So think of the Hendrix chord in E. You're just really trying to get that pinched harmonic scrape that we were talking about in Cold Sweat in there. And then again, we've got the iconic Sykes double picking in there. So let's try this. We're going to hit that 7#9 chord. And again, we'll just be lazy with our first finger. So I guess really it's an E-7 chord on there. He's kind of sliding into it on there, which I think really fits with the overall tone on the album, where you've got Tony Franklin playing fretless bass on a lot of it. Then we're playing this little figure where we're playing an E, a D, and then a B note on there. Double picked, but there's this one note offset on there. So pay really close attention to how many times you play the E note. It's not an even 4 or 8 each. It's 5 E's, 4 Ds, and 3 Bs. So then for the chorus, we're essentially just taking the same part that happens in the middle of the Whitesnake song, Still of the Night. In that song, it's played on the strings. John's just playing it on guitar here, and he's playing it in the key of C. So it's this. That we're playing there, fret 3 on the A string, which is a C note. Then we're going to the 5th and the flattened 5th, or the sharpened 4th, if you like. So those notes are G and F sharp. Then we're pinching a cheeky little high D on here and cycling back. So we get this. Then we're going to be playing the notes D, G, F sharp, G, A, G, B, and G, or fret 5 on the A, then it's 5, 4, 5, 7, 5 on the D, 4 on the G, and back to 5 on the D string. That again is all double picked. Let's take a song from the second Blue Murder album, Nothing But Trouble. This one is called Cry for Love. It's another heavy F sharp minor riff. This really sounds like a reworking of the intro to Still of the Night. It also kind of reminds me of the Gary Moore song Cold Hearted, or the Dio song Straight Through the Heart. Something like this. all about sitting back in that groove and just really trying to make it sound nasty on there. We've got an F sharp power chord, an E power chord, and an A power chord in the intro. Then you get that little still of the night tip of the hat in there where you're playing B, C, B, A. So fret 2, 3, 2 open on the A string, fret 2 on the low string, and the open low string, so F sharp and E. Then we've got a B sus4 to a B triad on there. The next part of the riff just adds an accented B chord, then we've got a little walk up from an E power chord, an F power chord, and into F sharp. Let's finish up with a cut from the Sykes solo album, 20th Century. This came out as a similar time to the Loveland album, and the Loveland album has some pretty amazing ballads on it. If you're into that kind of Whitesnake or Gary Moore vibe and you haven't heard the Sykes Loveland album, do yourself a favor and check it out. But the 20th Century album is way more heavy hitting. This one is in drop D. It's called Cautionary Warning, and it goes something like this. The actual riff itself is pretty straightforward, but it's deploying a signature Sykes move, which is double picking the notes. So if you were just to use downstrokes and play through this, we'd be playing fret 7 on the low D string, then it's fret 7 and 10 on the A, then we're going to do fret 7 and 10 on the low string, and fret 10 and 9 on the A string. So we get this. Now that makes a fantastic warm-up. I would just say pay very close attention to the accents and the timing, especially with that 7th fret on the low string that you're not double picking, but you're pushing on there. Furthermore, this showcases a little bit of that Randy Rhoads influence with the double picking, but I think John really made the double picking his own across his entire back catalog. It's such a great technique, and I would say walk through that just using downstrokes and leaving out the doubles, and then start adding in those upstrokes in there so you get the double picking. Thanks so much for watching this video. I'm going to go and play my guitar now and make a bunch of loud noises. I'd encourage you to do the same. Have a fantastic day. Be good to one another. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you all on the next one. Thanks for watching.